Hello everyone, welcome back to the session. So in the previous session we have seen about the what is the design concepts. So within the software engineering context, so what is the design principles in that, what is the design concept in that. Okay, so we have seen some of the qualities, what is the quality attributes. So now we are going for the what is the quality attributes. In previous session we have seen that there is software quality and attributes. Okay, so we have seen what is software quality. There are some guidelines for that. Software quality guidelines. So in the guidelines it has explained in the 8 principles. So apart from that, what is the software quality attributes? So in order to design the product, design the software or whatever, design the system, okay. So we have to follow some guidelines. So in order to get the quality. So why we are more concentrating on the quality? So if the quality is good, the people, the users will be used it. So if the quality is not good, no one will use it. So then what is the use of preparing the product? Why we are wasting the time in preparing the product? Why we are wasting the money in the preparation of the project or software or system, whatever it is. Okay. So let's go for the what is the software quality attributes. So who have given this software quality attributes? Okay. So Hewlett Packard. So you know the word HP. So you people will use the laptops of HP. Okay, so the full form of HP is Hewlett Packard. I think you people are known about this. So this Hewlett Packard HP has developed some software quality attributes. So some set of software quality attributes. So with the acronym, that means with a shortcut as FURPS. FURPS. So what is F, what is U, what is R, what is P and what is S? So F is nothing but the functionality, U is nothing but the usability, R is nothing but the reliability, and P is nothing but the performance, and next S is nothing but the supportability. So the first term of function F, the first letter of the functionality is F, the first letter of the usability is U, the first letter of R is reliability is R, and next in performance P, and in supportability S. Okay, so like that it has given the some acronym, that is FURPS, for the software quality attributes. So this FURPS quality attributes, what it represents? It represents a target for the software design. So whatever the software we are designing, so in order to get the quality in the software design, so there is some target in order to fix some targets. So for example, if you are writing some exam, so the faculty or some of your parents or some people or yourself, by yourself you will keep some target. So I want to attain the marks of in this subject, for example some X subject, you have to attain the marks of some 90. So you kept some target. So if you keep some target, then you can achieve some more to reach the target. If you reach the target, that is good. So okay, sometimes it may lead to some, if you think of target of 90, you may achieve the 86%, you may achieve the 88%. Like that, in order to achieve the quality in the product also, in order to develop the software product or software system, whatever it is. Okay, so in order to attain the quality, so it has to fit some target for that. So the target is done by this FURPS, that is given by the HP company. Okay, so what is that? Let us go further. So the first one is the functionality. So in FURPS, so the first word is functionality. So what is the functionality? So in the word itself, it is giving the functionality, the work it is done by. Okay. So is assessed by evaluating the feature set and capabilities of the program. So how the functionality is measured? Okay. How for example, this is a smart board. How this smart board will work? So how can examine the functionality of this software smart board? Okay. So that can be evaluated by the feature set and the capabilities of the program. So in the program, what you have written in that. So whether it go for the multitasking, whether it go for is it work on all the operating systems, different operating systems we have. So is it operable on those operating systems or not? The generality of the functions that are delivered and the security of the overall system. So how can we provide security to this system? So if we have so many of antivirus for the security purpose. So by using those antiviruses in your system, in our operating system, or whatever this laptops, for example, your laptops. So in laptops, you people go for some antivirus. So while installing that antivirus, after installing that antivirus, how your system is reacting to that, how the functionality is going to that. Or else, if you are downloading some software, third-party software, that means without the you have some online softwares, whatever it is. Okay, so if you download some softwares without any product key, just you have to download the software, just install in your system. Okay, so if you do like that, so how the functionality of the system is going on. So after installing some software in your system, or for example, let us say some VLC media player. After installing the VLC media player into the system, so how the functionality of the system, so whether it is working in as it previously worked like or not. So after installing this software, so what is happening in that software, so whether it is slow down the process. So like that we have to see this functionality. That is about the functionality. Okay, and next the second one is the usability. So what is the usability? How we can check the usability? So usability is assessed by considering human factors. So usability is mainly depends upon the human factors, overall aesthetics, consistency and documentation. So aesthetics is nothing but beautifully arranging. So how you are arranging all the elements on the system, how you are keeping the background color. So what is the front color, what is the background color, so what are the designs. Okay, that is the aesthetics. So consistency, how it is working, and documentation. So regarding that software, what is the documentation for it? And next, reliability. So this reliability is evaluating by measuring the frequency and severity of the failure. Okay, that means how we can check the reliability. That is, the reliability can be checked. So how many failures? For example, you have some phone or laptop. Let us go for the laptop. Okay, so in that laptop, after checking some antivirus, so whether it is it gives us some errors. So some drivers has not updated, or some drivers has deactivated, but that means uninstalled. Like that, sometimes you will get some errors. Okay, so how frequently that errors are occurring? Or for example, so if you are opening some Word document in your system, so that Word document is not opening correctly for first step, or after some time it is also not opening. That means the frequency of the occurrence of error. So how frequently, how many times that error is coming into your system. So that is done by this reliability. Okay. So there is the severity of the failure. So what is the severity? That means how much disadvantage of that failure. And the accuracy of the output result, the mean time to failure, MTTF. Okay. So that is a mean time to failure. How? So at what time? How many times it is getting to the failure? So the ability to recover from failure. So sometimes your laptops will go for the some restart the system. No, not restart. So it will go for some booting problems you will get. So after getting the booting problems, your system will not open. It will ask to shut down, or it will ask to restart. Sometimes it will not restart. So you have to click on the power button continuously. So that means how many times in a day, for example, in a day, that such problem in your laptop is occurring how many times? The ability to recover from the failure. So there is any chance to recover from the failure. So after the booting, there is a booting problem, your system has gone into some shutdown mode. Okay, after that, so is there any recovery for that? Is there that means it is modified from that error. So is it open after later time? And the predictability of the program. Okay, so this is the reliability. And next one is performance. FUR is completed. Next one PS. P is the performance. S is the supportability. So next one is the performance. So how we can measure the performance? The performance is measured by considering processing speed. So how much speed it is working. For example, it is i5. So how much speed it is taking for copying of files from one place to another place. from one place to another place means from D drive to your USB, or from USB to your D drive or C drive, whatever it is on desktop. And response time. So what is the response time it is giving? So after copying the files, what is it showing? What is the response time? Resource consumption through output and efficiency. So how, if you are doing the multitasking, how it is utilizing the resource? So sometimes you may get some problems by using the, for example, if you open at a time, so Chrome, at a time you open some other web browsers, at a time you open Zoom. Okay, if you open all these things at once, Word document or Excel, whatever it is, if you open all at one time, sometimes your system will get stuck. So how we can, how the resource consumption is going on, and throughput and efficiency. So if you are giving some input, so how much at what time it will, so how much time it is taking to give the output. So that is the throughput. And efficiency, how efficiently it is working. So whether you are getting the current or not. That is the performance. That is performance that in that way we can measure. And next one is the supportability. Supportability combines the ability to extend the program, adaptability, serviceability. So it has to extend the program extensibility, adaptability and serviceability. Okay, supportability means it is a combination of the three. One is the extensibility, adaptability and next serviceability. By combining the three words, it is the supportability. So these three attributes represent a more common term. Okay, maintainability, and in addition, testability, compatibility, configurability. So these are all the things which comes under the supportability. So supportability means it comes under maintainability. So whether it is going for any testability, so how it is going, if you are doing some test, how the system is supporting to that. So compatibility. So for what software it is compatible? That means it can configure. So configurability, the ease with each system can be installed and the ease with which problems can be localized. So when we are installing the system, so for example in your laptop, if you are having some version, okay, for example Windows 7. So if your operating system is Windows 7 and you are taking the i3 processor, so for some softwares it will compatible, for some softwares it is not compatible. It's depending upon the way of the system is configured. Okay, so if you go for the Windows 10, so in Windows 10, if you install the higher version of the Windows 10, it is compatible for all the upcoming. So as the technology is getting advanced, so the latest versions of the web browsers will be compatible. So that is a supportability. How support it is given by your system. So after installing for some softwares, after installing for some other third-party softwares, how it is giving the supportability, how configuration is going to be done. So that is the supportability. So these are the 5 things. And next one is the evaluation of the. So these are up to the quality attributes. So this is the evaluation of the software design. So what is the evaluation of the software design? So how evaluation is nothing but how it came into existence. That is how it is processed, how it is we can say increased by day life. How the changes are came into its design. Okay. So how the evaluation of software design takes place. So the evaluation of software design is a continuum process. So that has now spanned almost 6 decades. For 6 decades, from 6 decades onwards, it is getting the continuously changing. Yearly design work concentrated on criteria for the development of the modular programs and the methods for refining software structures in a top-down manner. So, you people, when you are, for example, if you people are, you people are studying the R19 regulation. Your seniors have studied some R16. Their seniors have studied some R13 regulation. Why it is changing it? Why they are changing the syllabus? Because according to the present situation, according to the present competition world. So in order to beat that competition world by the students, so they have to update their knowledge. In order to get their update knowledge, so they have to change some changes in their syllabus, like that. So according to the technology advancements, according to the whatever say whether it is some updations, some whatever it is, okay. So the software also, the designing process also has to change. The design process also has to update to that, because so as the generation is changing, so they will have some different views. Okay, in order to reach to all the people, so the design process is also getting the change from time to time. Okay, so whether it is a top-down model or whether it is a bottom-to-top approach, whatever it is. Procedural aspects of design definition evolved into a philosophy called structured programming. So C language is a structured programming. Okay, that is a procedural language. We can say that is a procedural language. A number of design methods growing out of the work just noted are being applied throughout the industry. Okay, so whatever the design methods, different design methods will come into existence. So whatever the design methods are coming, so they will make some changes into that and being applied throughout the industry. The industry is nothing but whatever the software industry or whatever it is. Okay, and next coming to, all of these methods have number of common characteristics. So whatever the methods we are using, there have some common characteristics. What are those? The first one is a mechanism for the translation of the requirements model into a design representation. So first, whatever the requirements, we have said that first requirements. So in communication, whatever the requirements taken by the stakeholder, so those requirements, based upon those requirements, we have to model a design. Okay, we have to model a system. So in order to model a system, design plays a part. And next point is a notation for the representing functional components and their interfaces. So notation is nothing but some symbols. We have to use some symbols, because in order to represent the system in one paper means it is hardly, we can't represent. There may be some ways where we can't represent. So we use some notations, some symbols. Okay. Representing the functional components for what? We are using the relation for function of the components. What are the components you are using? Those functioning of the components are represented by the notation and their interfaces. So how the design will go further. So how it uses the system. Heuristic for refinement and partitioning. So heuristic is nothing but it is a one type of searching algorithm. So heuristic for refinement and partitioning. So whatever the things are, for example, you have some mobiles. So those mobiles are getting the partition. So how it is partitioning? You can use the second space. How it is getting the partition? By using this heuristic refinement. Okay. And next, the fourth one is guidelines for quality assessment. So we have to follow some guidelines for the quality assessment. So in order to get the good quality, we have to follow some assessments. Assessments are nothing but exams. Assignments are for what you people are writing exams. Like that, we have to do some assignments for the quality. And next one is, so that is the evolution of the software or design. And now let's go for the next topic is the design concepts. So what is the design concepts? So a set of fundamental software design concepts has evolved over the history of the software engineering. So in the software engineering history, so some set of software designs are came into existence. So each provides a software designer with a foundation from which more sophisticated design methods can be applied. So how these methods can be applied? So how these methods can be implemented in the software design process? Each helps you answer the following questions. So in order to employ these methods, you have to see some of the questions. You have to answer some of the questions. You means the software developer has to answer by himself in order to implement those methods. So the first question is, each helps you answer the following questions. So what are they? The first one is, what criteria can be used to partition software into individual components? So what in what criteria, in what conditions you are going to divide the software? Partitioning is nothing but dividing the software. And next, second one is, how is function or data structure details separated from the conceptual representation of the software? So whatever the data structures, that means linked list, circular list, how to use the data structures, it plays an important role in the software designing part. Okay, how is the function or data structure detail separated from conceptual representation of the software? Conceptual is nothing but the way of your explaining. So what I am telling you, the conceptual representation. So apart from that, how the functions will be represented. So that is the second point. And thirdly, what uniform criteria define the technical quality of the software design? So you are implementing the software. So after implementing the software, so what is the uniform criteria? That means a single criteria which can define the technical quality. So technically this software is very good. How can we say? Technically this laptop is very good. How can we say that? So in what criteria you are considering? So what is the testing you are performing for that? So the following brief overview of important software design concepts that span both the traditional and object-oriented software development. Okay. So whatever the concepts you are designing concepts you have, so there are some software design concepts. So these design concepts span is nothing but will give the life to both the traditional and as well as the object-oriented software development. So what are those? Let us see. So first one is the abstraction. So we said that object-oriented. So object-oriented, I think if people have learned about the object-oriented language, that is Java, then you can be able to know what is the abstraction. So in the design concept, this is the first part. Okay, abstract is the one part. So abstraction is the act of representing essential features without including the background details of explanations. That means it is hiding the data. So in simple terms, we can say abstraction is nothing but the hiding the data. So whatever the code you are using in the class, whatever the code you are using in the program, that details cannot be given to the outside. For example, if you see C language, in C language, you store the, you save the file with the .c. Okay. So in order to run the C language files, you have to give out .c files to the user. Then only they can able to run. So whether it is a software or whatever it is. For Java language, that means object-oriented programming. If you implement the object-oriented programming in Java, so the files will be saved with .java only, but to outside. So for example, in order to run the software, whatever the small program you wrote, so in order to give to your friend, means you can give the .exe file. So what your people downloading the some softwares, third party from your websites, so that will come with the .exe files. That will not give the code. It will not give the code to you. So please run this code in order to install this software. Like that you will not get. You will get only the .exe file. So if you get the .exe file, means that is it is hiding the data. So what data, what the program they have written in that, so that is hiding from you, hiding to you. Okay, so that is a that is an abstraction. So the abstraction is used to reduce complexity and allow efficient design and implementation of the complex software. So whatever the design, so by using this abstraction, so abstraction is nothing but hiding the details. I am saying this is hiding the details. So by hiding the details, so if I given the program to you, so what you people do? You will do some modifications in it. So if you write like this, so how it will work? Like that you can do some work on that. Okay. So by doing like that, it will make the so more complexity. So that's why the abstraction will reduce the complexity and allow efficient design. So whatever the design is, it is good, and implementation of the complex software systems. Okay. And next step. Abstraction is the act of representing essential features without including the background details of the explanation. So that is over. And next. So many levels of abstraction can be posed. So we can give the abstraction in many levels. That means if you write a program of 10 pages, you can hide all the 10 pages of data. So at the highest level of abstraction, a solution is stated in bold terms using the language of the problem environment. So whatever the problem environment, that means whatever the language you are using, in that language environment you can give the some so you can give the some solution to the, so for example, I am using the Java language. Okay, so this object-oriented programming will implement in the C++ and Java. So not for C. Okay, so at the highest level of abstraction, that means the program which is at the highest level. For example, I have written some abstraction classes of, so class A. So later on I give the some class B. Later on I give the some class C. So this is the highest level. So whatever in the highest level of abstraction, whatever the terms I have used in this, okay, whatever the variables I have, variables or functions, whatever I explained over here in the class A, they can be used in the next level also. And next, coming to the, at lower levels of abstraction, a more detailed description of the solution is provided. So I have said in class A I have just to define the variables, just to define the functions. Those variables what I defined in the class A, those functions what I defined in the class A can be used in the class B and class C. So I can use those variables. I can implement some functions in that also. As different levels of abstraction are developed, you work to create both procedural and data abstraction. Okay. And next, a procedural abstraction refers to a sequence of instructions that have a specific and limited functions. So whatever the abstraction level you are using, so if it is a procedural, so if it is a structural and procedural, two types. So if you use the procedural abstraction, so then you have to give some sequence of instructions in order to execute that program. And we have some limited functions, only some limited functions, that means only one or two functions you have to use. The name of procedural abstraction implies these functions, but specific details are suppressed. So whatever the details are providing in the class, so that it will not be gone out. A data abstraction is named a collection of data that describes a data object. So we are saying the abstraction. So what is the abstraction? Abstraction is nothing but just a name to the class. Okay, abstract. Class with the class name abstract A, if I said like this. Okay, so this abstraction is what it is doing. It is combining some data, it is storing the data, it is hiding the data. It is a collection of data that describes the data object. And next, coming to architecture. So up to now we have seen the design concepts. Now we are going for the architecture. So what is the architecture? In design problem, the second concept is the architecture. So what is the architecture? We are saying that, so in order to design the system, in order to design the software, we have to do some architecture for that. So what is the architecture? Software architecture allows to the overall structure of the software and the ways in which the structure provides conceptual integrity for a system. So what is meant by software architecture? The software architecture means it allows the overall structure of the system. That means it gives us some overall, for example, some software you are doing. So okay, the software overall structure it will give. So whether it is a website designing or whether it is some software, some web app, whatever it is. And the ways in which that structure provides conceptual integrity for a system. So by using that architecture, you are going for the some concept of the system. So system development use is done by this architecture. So architecture is the structure of organization of program components whether it is modules. Modules is nothing but a unit. Okay. So for example, this is a website. Website means it has a two modules. One is the front end and second is the back end. So we can say these two as the two modules. That means dividing this work into units. It is a modules. The manner in which these components interact and the structure of data that are used by the components. So architecture is nothing but, so what is the modules? What are the modules you have? So in that modules, how they are interact with each other. For example, let us go for the one example. So for example, I have to design one one website. Okay, so let us say that the website is some Amazon. In Amazon, I divided some modules. So first one is the customer, and second one is the business person, okay. So who interact with the Amazon some website, that means some product purchasing website. So customer means we are the customers. So businessman is who is selling their products in that website, through that website. Okay, so this is a one module and this is a one module. So we have two modules. So in architecture design, how these two modules are interact. So when customer see the one product, then he will go for the order. That order will go for the business person. So how the interaction will be done between these two modules. And next, the manner in which these components interact and the structure of data that are used by the components. So the components are nothing but for the customer. So customer, what he will do? So the customer will select the product. He will search for the product. So components are nothing but the products, the way of images. The images of the some components. Okay. So after selecting the product will be displayed by so many of the business person. So to which business person it has to go. So how the interaction will be done between these two modules will be given by this architecture. So that is the meaning of the architecture. So architecture is nothing but architecture is used to design. So is the structure or organization of the components, that means the modules, how they are interact with each other. Okay, in which manner they will interact, and the structure of the data, how the data is transferred between these two or three, whatever the modules in the software. So Shah and Garland, so these are the two scientists, software engineering contributors. So these two contributors describe a set of properties that should be specified as part of an architecture design. In architecture design, so they have given us some set of properties. For what? That means in order to design the architecture, so we have to use some set of properties in order to represent. So there are some guidelines. So what are those? The first one is structural properties. So the first set is the structural properties. This aspect of the architectural design representation define the components of a system. So how many modules are there? So in your project, how many modules are there? We have to represent those modules. And objects, so what are the objects? That means a class, what are the classes you are using, what are the filters, and the manner in those components are packaged and interact with one another. So how those modules are interact with each other, how those modules are connect with each other. So we have to show in this structural properties. And second one is extra functional properties. So what is extra functional properties? So the architectural design description should address how the design architecture achieves requirement for performance, capacity, reliability, security, adaptability, and other system characteristics. So extra functional. So apart from the within the software functional, so how extra, that means the outside functionalities, what are the functionalities that affect the system? So those are performance. So how performance of the system is going on, that means whether the website is working, how it is working. So whether it is in slow mode. So if website means there is some www.somesite.com like or .in, you will get like this. So that website is working in Google Chrome, how it is working, how it is performing, that is how much time it is taking to open, or it is opening in some operable, so how much time it is taking. So like that. Okay. And next, families related to the related systems. Okay, the architectural design should draw upon the repeatable patterns. So whatever the patterns we have seen in the second unit, so previous unit, so in that patterns, how it is encountering the design of families. So different design of families are there. Okay, so in the essence of design should have the ability to reuse architectural building blocks. So whatever the architecture you are drawing, so that architecture should be reused until the system is getting upon the updations. For example, so this is a smart pen, a smartboard pen. So this pen I have given some architecture. So if I want to implement some more changes in the smartboard pen, so that whatever the previous architecture I have drawn, that architecture should be used. Okay, so this is for today's session.